Hi, this is Ron Ovitt, Mr. Change Agent, and today we're going to talk about goals. You know, change is hard, it's difficult, and we had explained this before. We had said that, you know, when you have a habit, it's one thing, right? But as your habit gets harder, it falls more into the range of a craving. In here you would call it maybe an urge. And so you have a craving, and what our theory is that the farther you go on this continuum, the more you're going to need knowledge and skills and time. And this is actually called recovery. Once you make a decision, right, to change. Now some habits are easy to change. Others take more time, and so you need to know where you are on this continuum. I can't help you there. All I know is that I work with a lot of people in addictions, and denial is one of the hardest problems. Shame is so involved in a lot of this. And when we feel shame, when we feel that sense of shame, it really throws us off. We don't want to talk about our issues. We don't want to talk to people about it. But, you know, we need to get rid of this sense of shame. There's no shame in the fact that we want help. And so we go to get help, and then we work on these things. And today, what I've developed is a change blueprint. And there's 9 different elements on there. And today we want to talk about this element, and that is, what's your goal? Now, you may say, well, that's pretty easy, Ron. I mean, my goal is sobriety, let's say, if it's addictions, right? It's sobriety. Well, that's great. That's great. And I would call that the primary goal, right? You have your primary goal. And so let's say that it is sobriety, or let's say that it's to lose weight, right? Something like that. Well, that's fine. That's your great primary goal. But the trouble is, a lot of times with that are different what I call secondary goals. And so, for example, it isn't just the fact that you may be abusing drugs, let's say, or drinking too much alcohol, or maybe too much sugar if it's a food issue, okay? It's also your secondary habits that are involved in there. Where you go when you use, who do you use with, or who do you eat? What do you drink or eat, right? And so you can go right down the list: where, who, what, when. And then you have the whole emotional part, right? You have, what are you feeling? And this is crucial. What are you feeling before you use it? What are you feeling afterwards? That's important. And then you have your thoughts. What are you thinking? What are you believing? You'll be amazed, and we'll get into this in some of the other videos. We medicate to regulate our emotions. Keep that one in mind. We medicate to regulate our emotions. I can't minimize. It's impossible to minimize how important it is to know that there's an emotional issue going on. There's an emotional issue going on. And so our thoughts, what are we believing about ourselves? And then I even go further. What do we believe are the consequences, right? What's the consequences of these beliefs? What are the we're fearful, we're afraid we're going to be gone, right? We're going to be annihilated, we're going to be abandoned. All these things, and we don't stop to think about them. Instead, we're reacting. And all these things are habits. They're habits. Anxiety, a lot of times, is a habit. Depression, sometimes, can be a habit. And so there's good news there. We can change these things. And so we have our primary goal, and we have our secondary habits. And with each one of these, then, there are goals that we need to change and do, right? And then, finally, what I like to call our micro goals. Now, this is a popular topic right now in change theory. You can read it in all kinds of books, and that is that for a long time we decided, boy, we're gonna do something. New Year's resolutions, right? They're big, huge, audacious, hairy goals. Is that what they call it? Hairy, audacious goals. And so we decide that, for example, I'm going to, when I start running, I'm going to run 5 miles a day. Well, if you haven't been running 5 miles a day, that's a great task. And so for me, when I started, 40 years ago, I was lucky if I could get a quarter mile. But fortunately, in my own life, that was fine. I knew about successful approximations, as they call it in psychology, or baby steps, as Bill Murray said in the movie, right? And so these baby steps, these successful approximations, these little steps as we go along, help us get toward our goal. Because here's the key. Here's the key. Consistency is the key. You need to be doing it every day. Every day, consistency. Now, some you may go ahead and decide, well, it's going to be 5 days a week or something, and you need 2 days to rest. But here's the key. You'd be better running a quarter mile a day and build up to half a mile, to a mile, because in plenty of time you'll get to that 5 miles a day. But you'll never get there if you hit and miss, and hit and miss, and hit and miss. And so this is key. If you're going to start exercising, do 2 push-ups a day. Now that seems ludicrous, and you'll think that too by day 3, and maybe you'll do 4 of them. And then by day 6, maybe you'll do 7 of them, and then pretty soon you're getting to your 20 push-ups. You see, so this is key. So what is your primary goal? What are some of the secondary ones that you need to change? And how can you take a primary, make it a micro, and work your way into it? This works in many cases. Now, in addictions, you might not want to try that. I believe if you're going to really take drinking or doing drugs, you need to be sober. You need to make sobriety your key, and to really be abstinent. But then if you work on these things will help, and that's where your micro goals can come in. So anyways, we have a whole webinar on our change and our habit blueprint, and I invite you to go ahead and watch that. I think you'll learn a lot from it. So thanks for watching. This is Ron Ovitt, Mr. Change Agent. You can find out more on empowerforliving.com.